Everyone ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Community Development and Regulatory Services Committee for today, July 22nd. I've been joined by council members Cano, Quincy, Fry, Reich, and Councilmember Warsame is on his way. I want to thank you all for being here this morning. The very first item on our agenda is a presentation by Mary Jo Copeland, who is here. I'm very grateful that she's here this morning just to give us a very short presentation on her current work. And I want to thank Mikkel Beckman from the city's office to end homelessness as our partner with Hennepin County for also being here today. Ms. Copeland, thank you so much for being here. Why don't you step forward and tell us a little bit about the good work that you're doing in our city.
Well, the good work I'm doing in the city is I'm doing God's work, and I'm helping those that are there through no fault of their own. Many, many people live in poverty that are homeless and need the help of Sharing Caring Hands and Mary's Place. Actually, they need all of our help. But I opened up in 1985 with a little storefront over in Glenwood Avenue, and went up to 7th Street and brought the insurance building up there. And then I turned that into actually, a children's center and a daycare, built Mary's Place, 92 units, and then have Sharing Caring Hands on the corner, which helps thousands of people every day, like I said, through no fault of their own. Now, the new project that I'm building is because the teen center and the children's center for the children is 100 years old, and it isn't efficient, and it isn't a place in which the children should have to play when we have to fix this and fix that. So we're going to put on a new unit there. And it's going to be 8 units. It's going to be added on to that, 8 housing units. I have 92 now, and the 8 units will make it 100 units. And it's going to help a lot of families. Right now, I'm turning down a lot of families. I always say God will help those I can't, but I do what I can. And right now, there's so many families, and we've got over 400 children that live there now. And so many people stay anywhere. It's like transitional housing. They stay there until they get on their feet. And it gives them a chance to get the medical and the jobs that they need so they can be productive people. And that's why I think it's so important that everybody supports the project, because I want to continue doing this for the poor. And I think we all do. I think we all know that people are having a hard time. A lot of hurting people, a lot of physical problems, a lot of mental problems. But it's okay. If we reach out to them, we can make a difference in their lives.
So would you like your architect to show us a few of the renderings of the project you're doing? And I'm wondering if you could just comment on how this is being paid for.
Okay, I certainly will. As soon as he does a few things, I'll tell you how it's being paid for and how it has been paid for.
Let's just go with this.
So maybe you can just kind of explain the before and after. And please introduce yourself for the record.
My name is David Ingelston. I'm with Cunningham Group Architecture, and I've been fortunate enough to work with Mary Jo for 22 years now, which is a long time. This project, as she was mentioning, is we're adding on to the end of the existing apartment building and removing an old building, as she was mentioning. I think that was your first site,
Yes.
first building on that site.
Yes.
It's failing in a number of ways. Structurally, it's very difficult to heat and cool, and basically it's a money pit right now that we want to do a more efficient project for her. And in this rendering, on the upper floors, as she was mentioning, there's 8 apartment buildings. On the lower floor, we'll house a new teen center and children's play area. So then the kids can stay within the building and play there all throughout the winter, rather than going outside into a very small facility. So this is also, this gives us a chance to reimagine their entry sequence and put a new face on that part of their site. So we're going to clean it up, and as you see in the rendering, there's a play area in the front. So where once that building was, there'll be a new large play area, like a park, I guess, for the children. And then that's directly adjacent to this new addition. And essentially that's it.
Are there any questions for the good folks at Cunningham? Anyone like to ask? Oh, okay, thank you so much, Mary Jo. If you could just tell us a little bit about the population you're serving and how you're paying for this 16
Well, number one, I'm serving a population of all different denominations, whether it be the Hmongs, the Somalian community, the Spanish, the African-American Indian, and we're serving quite a bit of that community that's being sent to me that can't get help anywhere else. And how I pay for this is when I came down there, I promised God that all the money would go to the poor. So it's no Ben United Way, no county funds, no government funds. Everybody that gives money gives right to the poor. I've never taken a salary, and the money that has come in here has come from wonderful individuals, all kinds of schools, firms, churches. And when I went to build, a lot of the foundations helped me, and I'm hoping that I can get a few more dollars. I think I will. I think that Richard Schultz just gave me $500,000. So
Wow.
we'll be able to keep moving on with that. And I've got some of my own money I can use, and I have enough money to keep going. And I'm sure that everybody will support this project, because I don't want to fight for it. I just want it to be because we really need it.
Well, we want to just thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule, helping people do the right thing to come down and tell us a little bit about it. We really appreciate your time, and we had an agreement that she would only have to be here for 10 minutes.
Because there's a lot of people waiting for me in the poor in the line, and I got to go help them.
So I just wanted, let me just see if there's anyone else who wanted to comment or ask you a question, Mary Jo. Councilmember Quincy.
Really not a question, Madam Chair, but thank you for giving me the opportunity, and thank you for being here. Of course, Mary Jo, it's a remarkable achievement. It shows how many years you've been involved in doing this work. And through this work, you've obviously helped lots of people, individuals, families, children, and their generations that have been changed by your work. So thank you for that. And also wanted to take a second just to thank you for helping inspire the rest of the community, because the city of Minneapolis cannot do it all by itself. The Hennepin County cannot do it all by itself, the state of Minnesota. And it takes lots of partners, and you are certainly a pinnacle of what we would consider a community partner. You're not seeking funding, you're just seeking support and the opportunity to continue to do the work that you're wanting to do. So thank you for being here, and thank you for this effort as you're continuing to expand that service. Thank you.
Thank you for the support, and I'm glad to work with the county. I'm glad to work with anybody here. I encourage them to send people to me that they can't help because of a little bureaucracy, but I'll help them. Thank you.
Mary Jo, our mayor is here, and she'd like to have the last word.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members of the committee, for letting me speak. And I just wanted to echo the words that have been spoken. Thank you very much for your commitment to this city, but it's clear that your commitment is actually to people who need you and people in need. And that's a mission that we share here at the city as well, as part of what we do as well to make sure that our city functions well. But what strikes me most is the faith that you bring to the work that you do. I know what it is to pray about what needs doing next and then figure out a way to make it happen. And so I just appreciate very much that you bring that perspective and that you bring it openly and that it has guided your work. So from me, thank you very much for what you do.
Thank you, Mayor Hodges. I hope someday you come over and tour the facility. You'll never forget God's work. It's all devoted to the Blessed Mother and God, but you'd still like it no matter what you're devoted to. Thank you for your nice words. Thank
And then
you.
I want to thank the good folks at Cunningham and Mr. and Mrs. Copeland for being here today. And
That's my husband, Dick. He really supports me. It's a big job. I mean, really, to take care of me is a... I mean, it's a major job. I give him credit.
Thank you so much for being here and for all the good work you're doing. And I know Mikkel Beckman will continue his conversation with you about helping in all of the ways you have and continue to do in our
It was
community.
very nice to come here and not have to fight the city. Amen.
That's the new normal.
Pray every day.
Thank you for being here. Thank you both very, very
I've got
much.
some brochures. Where did you leave the brochure?
If you could just give them to our city clerk, Irene Casper, we will get them handed out.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you
I
very
think
much.
Whatever work you do, if you make prayer the essence, it'll work. Whatever we do when we pray, God will hear our prayers. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll move on to our regularly scheduled agenda, which is a joint public hearing with the MCDA, Operating Committee, and CPED, considering the appointment by the Executive Committee of Craig Taylor to the appointed position of Director of CPED and the Executive Director of the MCDA for a 2-year period beginning January 2nd, 2014. And I'd like to call on the mayor to speak to her appointment. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members of the committee. I am very excited to be here today to speak on behalf of Craig Taylor for Director of CPED. I I have known Craig quite some time, and it was when we were doing this process in the search for the director that I got a sense of how deep and wide his experience is that he brings to this job. He has private sector experience doing small business development with Excel. He has spent the last number of years at the University of Minnesota, which is good in and of itself. Bringing those relationships from the U can never hurt the city of Minneapolis. But also the work he did there, helping shepherd through UROC, I think showed us the partnerships that he's able to bring to bear, the talent he brings negotiating challenging circumstances, which is a little bit of an understatement. But he also has experience at the city of Minneapolis, doing our WMBE program some years ago, helping people with workforce skills and employment. It's a deep and wide resume, but mostly what strikes me about Craig is his dedication and devotion to the city of Minneapolis, that he is of Minneapolis. It's not just that he's from here, he is of Minneapolis, and his excitement about giving this service and doing this work for the city is palpable. And that I like to think, I don't know what he would say about it. I like to think that everything he's been doing up until now has actually built him just the right set of experiences and credentials to take it and bring it back home to the city itself in this new role of CPED. I could not recommend him more highly for this position. Very excited to do the work with him. And he does have the vision, and he shares the vision and knows what it means to make sure that all our departments, including CPED, are working with, for, and on behalf of everybody in the city and every community in the city, and brings that ethic and that experience to the job. So it's time. It's time for Craig's leadership, or Mr. Taylor's leadership, and I'm very excited to put his name forward.
Thank you very much. I'll ask Mr. Taylor, did you want to speak first, or would you like us to have the public hearing and then speak at the end?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to.
Oh, then I would absolutely welcome you up to speak. Thank you for being here today. No, I'm gonna let him
Good afternoon. Madam Chair, distinguished members of the committee, certainly ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin, if I may, by saying that I am profoundly grateful for everything that has brought me to this moment, both past and present, and certainly for everyone here that has supported me throughout this process. My family members, colleagues, certainly members of the university. I want to thank all of you. I am truly humbled and honored to be the mayor's nominee for the executive director of CPED. If someone would have told me that I would be standing here before you today, quite frankly, I would have asked them, what have you been smoking? But in all seriousness, it's no secret that I love this city very deeply. Serving it and working in it has literally been my life's passion. In fact, my entire professional career has been devoted to being a public servant. And I feel truly privileged and blessed to have been fortunate enough to do work that I am extremely passionate about. And today, the opportunity to continue to serve my community in a much greater capacity, in a key leadership role with CPED, is not only incredibly intriguing for me, but it is inspiring to me, and the idea of being instrumental in supporting the exciting and progressive work that our city is doing is just overwhelming for me. You know, somewhere during the interview process, someone posed the question to me. They said, why are you interested in this position? It's kind of like, duh. Who wouldn't want the opportunity? These are amazing times in our city. And the opportunity to be a part of a team that is contributing to the success and the future of this city is absolutely exciting to me. But more importantly, there are two primary reasons why I'm interested in this position, ladies and gentlemen. The first is simply because I believe that there's an opportunity to broaden the net of economic prosperity so that it touches and reaches every person in every neighborhood, in every corner of this community, regardless of their race, their age, their sexual orientation, their social economic status. The second reason is because I believe that there is an opportunity to be more intentional, more innovative, and more strategic in our ability to tap into the underutilized assets in our city's urban core, and in turn, leveraging the economic benefits of those assets to help transform and revitalize those communities and to create wealth in those communities. I believe this is fundamentally important because I believe Minneapolis can be a world-class city. And I think we will be a world-class city. And part of that is really being able to think about our willingness to consider a city that will not allow a city to be divided by privilege and poverty. Quite simple. Now, I know that our city has made tremendous progress over the years in these areas, and I certainly want to recognize that. But I think we all agree that there are still conversations that we can have around these issues and around these challenges. And I raise my hand today and say that I am willing to engage in those discussions and to continue to have conversations moving forward about how we work through these issues. And I promise to be a leader who is transparent, who is engaged, and who is accountable. And as I close, I just want to summarize my thoughts and saying I had a great conversation with Council Member Quincy, and he asked me the question. He said, a great question. He said, "What are your goals?" And I said, I haven't identified any yet, simply because I don't want to come into this role with any preconceived ideas. I don't want to have an agenda in my back pocket. I want to have the opportunity to engage in meaningful dialogue with key stakeholders like yourself, other council members, the mayor, the community, the talented staff at CPAD before any decisions like that are made. But I will share with you what I believe my priorities will be in this role. Just two. The first is quite simply that we will do everything we can as an organization. I'm referring to CBED. Every business decision we make, every new program or idea that is proposed, every partnership that we engage in, that we examine it through the lens of Mayor Hodges' three fundamental questions. How will that help the city run well? How will it move the dial on equity? And how will it help grow the city? And so with that being said, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for being so gracious in extending your time to me and sharing your wisdom with me as part of this process. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's just get a show of hands of how many, Mr. Taylor, you can sit down. Let's just get a show of hands of how many people would like to speak to this public hearing. There are 6 public hearings on the agenda, so you're probably all going to say about the same thing. So I would invite people to come up and speak, state your name and address for the record. We're going to ask you to hold it to about 2 minutes. And if you have heard someone say something you would have already said, please forfeit your time. I have a feeling everyone is going to say about the same thing. Their impression of Mr. Taylor is perhaps more experienced, but similar to my own and the mayor's, and we just want to keep the whole meeting moving along. As you can see, there's a lot of people here for the other 15 items on our agenda. So those who have the most urgency to speak, please step up and maybe create a line. We'd like your name, address for the record, and I'm going to try to hold you to 2 minutes. So if you hear me or see me doing this, that means you've exceeded your 2 minutes. Please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Let me just say for the clerk, I'm opening the public hearing. It's a joint hearing of the MCDA Operating Committee and the Community Development and Regulatory Services Committee on the appointment of Mr. Craig Taylor. Thank you.
Good afternoon, council members, Chair Goodman, Mayor Hodges. Thank you for this opportunity. My name's Ritas Fletcher. I'm a Deputy Director for the City of St. Paul. I oversee human rights and equal economic opportunity. I've spent my entire public and private career working in economic development, small business engagement, and workforce capacity building. Craig Taylor has been a strong partner in those endeavors. I've known Craig for over 10 years professionally in various capacities, one at the University of Minnesota, but also as the chair of the North Central Minority Supplier Development Council. That is the supplier diversity arm of Minnesota's a number of Minnesota's top Fortune 500 companies. In those positions, I've known Craig to be a tremendous, I've known of his tremendous leadership. I know of the tremendous work that he's done with private corporations, with public agencies, with local chambers of commerce, community-based organizations, and trade associations of women and minority. Craig recognizes, as you've just heard, the universal impact development can have on the community. He's keenly aware of the view that large and small development projects should be viewed through the lens of economic equity. He's also aware of the far-reaching local economic development efforts can have on our overall quality of life. Craig understands that sound economic development solutions require a regional approach. This nomination and his appointment will keep us moving in that very important and right direction.
That was about okay, so that was 2 minutes, just to give you an
2 minutes?
idea of how
Okay,
long
well,
that is.
I'm sorry. Let me go to the conclusion then.
I know it's hard to get everything in.
I know. You know what? I practiced this for 3, and you got me at 2. In conclusion, I'm confident that Mr. Taylor will work with the community, the business leadership, the civic leadership to sustain and grow economic opportunities. His personalities, his expertise, his support of regional solutions, and his ability to build consensus around a variety of our diverse groups has made him just an excellent choice for the appointment.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Dwayne Ramseur. I'm with the North Central Minority Supplier Development Council. We're located 111 3rd Avenue South, Suite 240, Minneapolis, 55401. Good afternoon, council members and Mayor Hodge. It is an honor to be here today to support Craig Taylor. I've known Craig Taylor since the late 80s. My background is corporate America as well as the nonprofit sector, and I've had the pleasure to work with Craig Taylor as my chair since 2011. I can tell you, though, that in the position he's worked as a volunteer, I've noticed his passion, I've noticed his integrity, his ability to get things done. As a matter of fact, our programs have increased triple-digit under his leadership since I've been president. In addition, in the first time in the history of our organization, Cargill has committed $1 billion to the investment, to the purchase of goods and services from minority businesses. First time in the history of our organization in the state of Minnesota that's been accomplished. I want to give my 100% support of your choice. I think you've got an excellent choice. I think he will make a difference. I'm certain he'll make an impact on and make a difference in the community. And I think that the community will benefit for quite some time to come.
Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Makeda Zulu Gillespie, and I'm the Director of Community Outreach for the Urban Research Outreach and Engagement Center. I'm going to just read mine, and hopefully I'll get through by 2 minutes. My name is Makeda Zulu Gillespie. I'm the Director of Community Outreach. Thank you for the opportunity to give comment about Mr. Craig Taylor. I've known Mr. Taylor professionally since 2006, when I was an organizer for Northside Residents Redevelopment Council, also known as NERC. NERC's role then was to support residents in determining what the university was planning to do and when they considered coming to North Minneapolis, and to decide what residents wanted from the university. Craig Taylor was offering the Office of Community and Economic Development to assist North Minneapolis residents to support, to grow their own businesses and grow their business skills. He sat through meetings with communities as a partner, honoring that residents and organizational leaders had much to offer, understanding that the university had resources and that the university could also learn from the community. As the youth commitment grew, the community asked that the university hire someone from the community. Mr. Taylor recommended me for hire after an interview with about 30 university and community members. He became my supervisor in September of 2006 and supported my passion for my community, my desire to pursue my master's and to continue to be a resource to me. The community and this vision, at the time known as the University Northside Partnership, one of the tenets of that was and is now, what is now UROC, is to support existing structures within the community. Craig supported the Minneapolis Urban League and the university's commitment to community by paying for space in the Minneapolis Urban League and supporting programs and events that help community members find jobs. This was important in building trust in the community. Craig was driven and is a visionary and a team player. He assisted Senior Vice President Jones in supporting the land-grant mission of the University of Minnesota in the urban core. As he continued to build the vision for expanding the Office of Business and Community Economic Development to North Minneapolis, his role shifted, and new leadership continued to benefit from his support of the vision of UROC. One vision, from the vision to a physical manifestation, and then supported other leadership as they enhanced the infrastructure.
Okay, so you're over 2 minutes now.
I'm over 2 minutes. I just want to say that Mr. Taylor walks the talk. And that he supports residents and the organizational structures and has the ability to change systems. And I support the appointment.
Thank you for being here today. Welcome. Please state your name and address for the record.
Afternoon, Madam Chair, Mayor Hodges, City Council members. My name is Seitu Jones, and I'm a visual artist. I've created a number of works that make up the streetscape in Minneapolis. I was the first artist in residence for the city of for the city of Minneapolis. Although I currently live in St. Paul, I am here for a couple of reasons. I'm here as an artist, but I'm also here as a homeboy. And I'm also here to out Craig. And I have known Craig Taylor for 55 years. We went to elementary school together, middle school, graduating from Washburn High School in the late 60s. And getting caught up in the rich mix of politics and culture at that time, in the late 60s, early 70s, one of the things that we learned is that you should make your community more beautiful than you found it. And that tenet of that philosophy, of those many philosophies from that time, is still what guides Craig's work throughout all of that time. Now, CPED has had the wisdom to integrate art and artists into the planning process. And what has resulted is a friendly and welcoming landscape in the city of Minneapolis. I'm confident that those arts initiatives that are administered through the Arts Commission and other city departments will continue. And why? And this is where I'm going to out him. Not many of you know that he is an artist. You heard that fantastic voice up here. He's got this great baritone voice. He's a musician and a composer. So he understands the issues that are related to arts and making sure that arts are a platform that we will always operate from and embrace here in the city of Minneapolis. So I'm here also to attest to his character. He is truly a kind, generous, and you heard, a very gracious person. All of that will go into his work as the director of CPED. It is through those artist's eyes and through the eyes of someone committed to social justice that he will frame his work to integrate culture and equity as the director of CPED. I urge you to support his appointment. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Please step forward, state your name and address for the record. If you could try to keep it to 2 minutes. That was 3.5, just to give you an idea.
This will be amazing. My name is James Burrows. I'm with the School District of Minneapolis. I'm the Executive Director for Equity and Diversity. I'm a lawyer by training, so if I go under 2 minutes and they didn't, I'm going to be proud of myself this afternoon. Real quick, Craig Taylor is the right person for this job at the right time, and the focus of it for me is it's about racial equity. Craig gets it. Craig and I sit on the NCMSDC board together. We have for the last several years. But more importantly, when we built our headquarters over in North Minneapolis, my goal was to be the best minority and women-owned participation project ever. And what I did was, in consultation with my superintendent, we went out and got some people to volunteer to be on an oversight committee. Craig chaired that committee to make sure that we were not only building a building, but we're building a community and a network of people that could be involved in that. We ended up hitting a goal of 51% women and minority-owned businesses, not because of anything that I did, but that committee that had Director Taylor on it, Velma Corbel, members of the community and pastors and other community members, was about the business of equity. We are about to embark on a journey on racial equity together on August 5th and 6th, and going to continue that as a city and as a school district. Craig is the right person to get that together for your businesses. Craig is the right person who understands community, and Craig is the right person to do this job in a very efficient, effective, and community-driven way. Thank you, and I think Craig Taylor is the right person for the job.
Thank you very much. Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. I'm Scott McConnell. I live at 10 Russell Court. I think that's the first address you've heard here in Minneapolis. I'm a college professor at the University of Minnesota. If I can be shorter than a lawyer, I'm going to be proud of myself. I've known Craig for about 10 years. I want to echo several things that you've heard. Vision, commitment, history. All of those, I think, define what he is and what he's done. The one part that I want to amplify a little bit is based on Ms. Zulu Gillespie's point. I met Craig about 10 years ago when the university committed to working with the city to try to participate in the revitalization of North Minneapolis. There was a small group on campus that came together to try to direct that charge. Craig was part of that, Robert Jones, myself, several others. One of the things that I know is that the university is a big organization that has a lot of capacity but moves very, very slowly. It tends to be sort of amorphous. It might be sort of like a city. What I discovered as we kind of arrived in North Minneapolis was that that wasn't going to be easy. It wasn't routinely and robustly accepted. It needed to be vetted and socialized and changed. There's a subtle tension between listening and leading, and what I've learned from Craig is how to do that better. I think that Craig exemplifies this notion of taking on hard challenges, thinking about how to listen carefully, thinking about how to not lose your purpose and your vision, but to move forward in a way that's inclusive. I'll echo what everybody else has said. He's a great choice for this position. I recommend him.
Thank you very much. Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is Scott Gray. I'm the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Minneapolis Urban League, 2100 Plymouth Avenue North. And I just want to echo what everybody else has said. But there's something about, I met Craig first in joining the Urban League. Craig was on our Urban League board. And it's something about moving leaders off of the Urban League board. I think you all know Congressman Keith Ellison, who was on the Urban League board at one time before he was congressman. And now Craig is, Mr. Taylor is now being appointed to CPED. And so we are certainly in support of that. Craig has been, even as he has transitioned off the board, but when he was on the board, he was reliable, transparent, personally committed. As we worked together, as he was at the university, he made sure that our construction training programs kind of linked up with a lot of the projects that the university was working on, so we were able to get a lot of folks employed in career ladder opportunities, and so that was just a wonderful thing. I just think, again, to echo the comments, this is the right time. We need, as a community, to look at diversity as a competitive advantage, and we need someone like Craig to step up to the table to help lead us in all our constituencies to make sure that all people in this city achieve the American dream. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Please step forward, state your name and address for the record. I'd ask if you had any new points, that would be good too.
Thank you. Chair Goodman, members of the council, Mayor Hodges, distinguished guests and visitors. I am Chris Lockhart. My address is 5041 Aldrich Avenue South in the city of Minneapolis, and I'm currently the Associate Vice President for Equity and Diversity at the University of Minnesota. I've known Craig since the first day he started at the university in '86. I've been his colleague and I've been his supervisor. I am the person who will have to replace this professional at the University of Minnesota, and as such, I have met with all of his full-time staff for my purposes, not yours. However, I think that it might be good for you to hear 1 minute and 20 seconds left worth of comments, that things that his staffers said. When I said, what does a new leader need? And you should know that every comment that I am giving you had some form of, this is what Craig did well, we have to do someone at least as well as Craig did it. And I really have edited it down, I promise you. He's very supportive of new ideas and good at listening to others. He empowers his team. He mentors by leading his staff down their own path of solving problems rather than pushing them in one direction. He understands our communities, and this may be the most important thing I tell you. And he knows the need to work at the speed of the community, taking into account all of the various factors that this work requires. He has the ability to make tough decisions and move on. He has a strong will to deal with the hard stuff. He's a visionary. He can see the big picture, but he's also got what it takes to see the details to get to the end result. He trusts his staff that they know what they're doing, and he lets them know his job, if anyone in the department is sitting in here. He values all of his employees, providing the stability and support they need to serve the community best and to allow them to help build teams across with the community. He's very successful at working across, and now this is my language, not his staffers, large, bureaucratic, often dysfunctional organizations. And so what I've shared are not my words, but the words of his staff. I think you should have those, and I wish you the best of luck in your decision-making process. Thanks for the time today.
Thank you very much. We'll take 2 more speakers. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Aaron Corey. I live at 2501 Harriet Avenue South, and I'm here to speak as a former employee, so I can add to Chris's comments somewhat. So I worked for Craig Taylor from 2006 to 2012, first as a graduate research assistant, leading a group of fellow students researching the North Side and creating a community asset map to support some of the work around UROC. In that role, I saw Craig's management style as well as community engagement style and leadership. And I should mention at that time I was also a resident, a Northsider for 6 years. So I had a foot in kind of both organizations, both communities, if you will. And in terms of the approach Craig was using from a research and management perspective was great. You know, he told us and kind of introduced the team to the idea of community asset research and let us really develop that idea, understand it, and deploy it in the context of North Minneapolis and bring forward the research that we thought best informed the university's discussion. And then from a community leadership perspective, you know, again, I was a Northsider kind of watching my new boss engage my community around the UROC project and the University Northside partnership. And it was, you know, the approach of engaging communities and speaking to their strengths and starting from that perspective, I think was a really powerful and moving context from which the university dialogue was more successful with the community. I went on to be hired as a full-time staff to help manage the Targeted Business Program, effectively the university's Supply Diversity Program, similar to the small underutilized program here at the city. And in that capacity, you know, I'd carried other professional roles, but that was the first time in that type of position. So there was a lot I was there to learn. Craig was a great mentor, was definitely there to support me. But as I kind of matured into that role, definitely stepped back and allowed me to, you know, gave me latitude in the tactical and strategic things I brought to the table. So it was certainly, I think, a great approach. I'm very impressed with, you know, the way that he's conducted himself, both in the community and as a manager. And I'll leave the remainder of my remarks with the city clerk.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. And the last speaker, please step forward, state your name and address for record. Welcome.
Sure. Thank you. My name is Robert Marsh. I'm the president of Cineco. My address is 15430 Eagle Bay Way, Apple Valley. And I'm a little bit different because I'm an MBE. And I met Craig about 15 years ago. We was going to be doing business with the University of Minnesota. At the time, I had probably 75 employees, and now I have over 2,000 employees a year. And with Craig, as a mentor, he's not only mentored me, but he helped me to guide my organization to one of the largest minority staffing firms in the Midwest. Also with Craig, I represent the National Minority Supply Development Council, which a lot of these guys are from. I sit on the national level. I represent MBEs in 6 states. So I represent over 6,000 MBEs. And one of the things that Craig has did, he has given not only myself the vision to grow your business. He always tell me, even he told me a couple of weeks ago, always grow your business through this recession. And that's the best advice I've ever taken. And because I grew my business through this recession, that 5 years ago, there was probably 10 MBEs that was like me, and now there's only 1. So I want to say that I really hate to lose Craig. He's the greatest person that I've ever met that helps MBEs, and I think there's 300 MBE corporations here in Minnesota would attest to that. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. So what we'll do is we'll close the public hearing and invite anyone who had other comments to just simply either send them to the clerk, feel free to send them to members of the council or the mayor's office who will distribute them. I'll also just ask for a show of hands of other people who are here to support Craig today. If you just raise your hands high just so we can get a sense of the unbelievable community support that he has and who came out to support him today, and thank you for being here. I'll just see if anyone on the, I'll first defer to the mayor and see if she had anything else she wanted to say.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I hesitate to say anything else because it's all been said by these speakers, and I know you don't like that kind of repetition. But I will say the level of support here speaks to the level of Mr. Taylor's leadership, and it speaks to the depth and breadth of his relationships in the community, his capacity to lead the department as a manager, but also his capacity to lead the department as someone with a forward-thinking goal of a vision of the future of Minneapolis that includes everybody.
Thank you. I'm going to move the approval of Craig Taylor myself. I think I'm in a unique position to do so. I was invited by the mayor and her team to sit on the panel that did the interviews for the CPED director. I've been the chair of this committee for 12 years, and I, along with Councilmember Bender, had the opportunity to hear his thoughts about a variety of issues in a much more detailed and intimate setting. I really feel like Mr. Taylor is the kind of person who will listen first, and then he will lead. He really strikes me as someone who is very deeply committed to the community, not only by proof of the people being here today, but his very broad knowledge of individuals and institutions, strategic partners, and people that we hope to be able to work with at CPED going forward. I will note for the gentleman who said, I don't want to lose Craig, you're not losing him. You're getting him working for you on the public dollar. It's even better. You're going to get more of him, not less of him, because Mr. Taylor, to me, is the kind of person who isn't going to sit in an office at the top of the building and tell people what to do, but he is of the people, and he's going to be working with people, both our employees as well as our leadership team, to try to figure out how to move us all forward in the same direction. I've had the opportunity to work at the University of Minnesota, so I can tell you that our bureaucracy is a lot less than that bureaucracy. And you might find this one a little bit easier to manage than the situation at the University of Minnesota, and I can speak from experience in that regard. I think that you'll find the city to be, for the most part, a very welcoming place to work with a majority of city employees who are very, very passionate about the work that they do. You couldn't possibly be working to house homeless people, to develop affordable housing, and help people make and create living wage jobs on a daily basis as an employee of the MCDA and CPED without caring very deeply about the future of our city. And the best advice I can give you is to embrace these amazing staff. There's less and less of them as time goes on, and they're asked to do more and more work. And so from where we sit as policymakers, we rely on these staff to bring us their best thinking, both the leadership team and the people who do the day-to-day work, as well as the receptionists who answer the phone. These are people who are very committed public servants, and they're looking for a committed public servant to help lead the way on this new normal in this city, and I think you are a perfect person to do it. I'm very proud to make this recommendation, move this recommendation on behalf of the mayor, thank her team for involving me and Councilmember Bender in this process, and hope that we will see a 13-0 vote in now what will be 9 days. Is there anyone else who would like to comment? Councilmember Cano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had the pleasure of meeting with Mr. Craig Taylor earlier this week, and I just want to thank you, Mayor Hodges, for putting forward such a strong candidate who's ready to lead. So the ground is fertile for racial equity. People are ready to see this change, and I am just so honored and thankful for everybody that came out today to talk about what a great leader Mr. Taylor is. So I feel very confident with this vote. I'm really excited to see us move into this direction. And thank you, everyone, for really escorting him and bringing him to us in this way. The troops certainly came out, and I'm excited to see the work that the city of Minneapolis can accomplish with Mr. Taylor's vision. Thank you, Lisa, for leading this too.
Anyone else? Seeing none, on the motion to approve Mr. Craig Taylor as the Executive Director of the MCDA and CPED, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is unanimously approved. I want to thank you, Mr. Taylor, and your team for being here today, and certainly invite you to sit through the rest of the meeting if you'd like, but if not, I think we'll give you about 1 minute to help rotate the room into the remainder of our agenda. And thank you. Mayor Hodges, thank you very much for being here today. Okay, for those of us remaining with you for the remainder of the agenda, I'm going to move the consent agenda, items number 1 through 16. I'll note that there are regular license applications, making a change in our rehab support program and emergency relief fund to extend some funding to homes left in the tornado damaged area. Item number 13 is authorizing staff to submit grants, and item 15 is authorizing staff to accept grants. Item 16 is conditions on a license settlement conference, and item number 16 is referring to staff the subject matter relating to micro distilleries. Are there any items 11 through 16 that anyone would like to pull for discussion? Seeing none on the consent agenda, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. We'll then move on to our public hearing agenda, starting with item number 2, which is the Riverton Housing Bond Refinance. Ms. Glasper, welcome.
Madam Chair, thank you. I am before you today with a report recommending adoption of a resolution which would give approval for up to $25.6 million in tax-exempt 501c3 revenue bonds for the Riverton Community Housing Project. Riverton Community Housing owns more than 475 student housing units in the vicinity of the University of Minnesota. The units are scattered amongst more than 6 separate buildings. This project includes 320 of those units located at buildings at 1227 4th Street Southeast, 700 10th Avenue Southeast, 1405 5th Street Southeast, and 2300 East Franklin Avenue, all in the Marcy Holmes neighborhood. The city has provided financial support for this project in the past in both 2000 and in 2006. This bond issue is for the refinance of the project's existing debt and also for the new construction of a 66-unit building at the 1227 4th Street Southeast location. This new building will also contain 2,365 square feet of commercial space on the ground floor. The building currently contains 16 units of housing and no commercial space. Of the $25.6 million bond issue, approximately $13.5 million will be a refinance of the existing bond debt, thank you, and just over $12 million would be for the new construction at 1227 4th Street Southeast. The transaction will also include a small taxable piece of about $500,000 that would assist with the cost associated with the transaction. I would also note that this student housing, or any student housing, is not subject to the city's affordable housing policy. While this project is not subject to the policy, staff and the developer have agreed that 75% of the total units, or 240 units, will be affordable to households at or below 80% MMI. Further, 20% of this 75, or 48 units, will be affordable to households at or below 50% MMI. Further, 20% of the total units, 64 units, which may overlap what I've previously stated, would be affordable to households at or below 60% MMI.
Are there any questions for Ms. Glasper on item number 2? Councilmember Frye.
Thank you, Chair Goodman. I have just a brief comment. I am very enthusiastic about this proposal and this particular project at 1227 4th Street Southeast. As you know, university students have, for about 10 years now, been sacked with a heap ton of debt following graduation, and times job prospects are dim, and they end up moving home and sleeping on their parents' couch. And a huge part of that is due to the debt that they incur through housing. So I would like to thank the Riverton team. I've been working with them over the past few months on sort of moving this project forward. I think it's a great proposal, using the co-op model, decreasing the debt that students will have at the time of graduation. And I would also like to thank them for incorporating the commercial space into the base floor. I know that was something that the neighborhood was looking for.
Yes,
So-
that's correct.
So thank you.
Councilmember Frye.
Further comments or questions? Seeing none, thank you for your report. We'll open up the public hearing on item number 2, which is a resolution giving preliminary and final approval of up to $25.6 million in 501c3 tax-exempt revenue bonds and $500,000 in taxable revenue bonds for the purpose of financing the construction of student housing. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Frye.
I would like to move this item.
Item number 2 has been moved for approval. Further comments? Questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll move on to item number 3. Ms. Roberts, welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Council members, item number 3 is an applicant for Pingual Inc., Chimborazo Restaurant at 2851 Central Avenue Northeast. If this license is approved for the permanent expansion, they'll be able to operate their outdoor patio with 6 tables, total of 18 seats. There'll be no outdoor speakers. A public hearing notice was sent to residents and property owners within 600 feet of the main door of this establishment. 4 responses have been received, and all of them are supportive. Staff is making a recommendation to approve.
Are there any questions for Ms. Roberts on item number 3? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 3, which is a permanent expansion of premise for Chimborazo Restaurant. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Is there anyone here from the restaurant? Okay, anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Reich.
Madam Chair, I move approval.
Approval of item number 3 has been moved. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. On item number 4, Ms. Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item number 4 is an applicant, Fair State Brewing Cooperative. The DBA is Fair State Brewing Cooperative. If approved, this applicant is seeking an application for a tap room and growler's license. They intend to operate a brewery and a growler at 2506 Central Avenue Northeast. Public hearing notices were mailed out to property owners within 600 feet of the residence, and we have received positive responses to that public hearing, 2 of them, and staff is making a recommendation to approve.
Any questions or comments for Ms. Roberts? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 4, which is a new restaurant, Fair State Brewing Cooperative at 25th and Central Avenue Northeast. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Is there anyone here from Fair State Brewing? Thank you for being here today. Is there anyone else here to speak to this issue? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Reich.
Madam Chair, I happily approve this item.
Approval of item number 4 has been moved. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. On to item number 5, Mosaic Cafe. Ms. Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ice Cream Inc. is making an application for their DBA of Mosaic Cafe, located at 3019 Minneapolis Avenue, to upgrade their license to allow additional entertainment allowed in Class D, which is one non-amplified musician, to perform on their premises both inside and out. Public hearing notices were mailed out to residents within 600 feet. We've received 2 responses in favor of this upgrade. Staff have recommended approval.
Any questions for Ms. Roberts on the Mosaic Cafe license upgrade? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 5, which is a license upgrade for the Mosaic Cafe. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Please step forward. You're the owner. Thank you for being here today. Would you like to say something? Okay. Anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move approval of this item, please.
Approval of item number 5 has been moved. Comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That item has been approved. Thank you for sitting through our hearing today. Congratulations. We'll move on to item number 6, Town Hall Lanes. Ms. Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Town Hall Lanes is the applicant, and their DBA is Town Hall Lanes. They're located at 5019 34th Avenue South in Minneapolis. They are making an application to expand their license to include a sidewalk cafe that will have 6 tables with 24 chairs. They're going to be open between the hours of 11 noon and 11 p.m. at the latest. Staff had sent out a public hearing notice. We've received 1 response in favor. We've reviewed the application. It has appropriate noise mitigation, and we're recommending approval.
Questions for Ms. Roberts? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on number 6, which is a sidewalk cafe license for Town Hall Lanes. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I happily move this item for approval. It's my favorite place to bowl, so please do.
Further comments? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That item is approved. On to item number 7, Verdant Tea. Ms. Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Verdant Tea LLC is making an application for a new on-sale liquor license, Sunday sales Class C1. They do currently hold a restaurant license. This establishment will be able to serve liquor and provide entertainment, which would be 1 to 2 unamplified live musicians in their establishment. They will not have speakers outside or the entertainment outside. The business is located, at 2111 East Franklin. We did send out a public hearing notice for this. We've received 2 positive responses in support of the application. Staff has reviewed the application. It meets its minimum standards, and we're making a recommendation to approve.
Any questions for Ms. Roberts? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 7, which is a license upgrade for Verdant Tea. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Warsami.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I happily move to approve staff recommendation.
The staff recommendation is in front of us by Councilmember Warsami. Further comments? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. Our last item on this portion of the agenda, item number 8. Ms. Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The item is to consider amending Title 14, Chapter 362 to allow for brewer tap rooms. It is simply to adopt what the state is allowing us to do through state statute so that brewers like Fulton could maybe have their own tap room and an auxiliary space. Staff has prepared a small presentation. We did send out a public hearing. We've received 1 response in support. We recommend approving this.
Councilmember Reich, this is your effort. Perhaps you could just speak to it.
Yeah, I think, thank you, Madam Chair. I think the summary would be we want to be consistent with state law that's been approved, and also, as we can see from these applications, support a burgeoning industry that's bringing a lot of revitalization to our communities.
This is a public hearing on item number 8, which is consider amending the ordinance to be consistent with state law, which would allow tap brewers to produce either on or off-site premise of the licensed tap room. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon, Councilwoman Goodman, members of the committee. My name is Jim Diley. I'm from Fulton Brewing. I am here, and I want to recognize the committee's time today, but to say that I was involved in the drafting of the legislation at the state level and have an intimate knowledge of how the state law does apply to breweries, and want to thank you for your leadership as well in considering this amendment. It will bring more activity to Minneapolis through the brewing community. With that said, I ask that you support it and offer myself for any questions.
Are there any questions for Jim on item number 8? Perhaps you could just explain what you can't do today and what you will be able to do once this is signed.
Exactly. And I'll just read the 1 clause from the existing state statute, which reads in quote, "A brewer taproom license authorizes on sale of malt liquor produced by the brewer for consumption on the premise of or adjacent to one brewery location owned by the brewer. So the intent of the state statute was not to limit where beer could be produced and where it could be served, but was really to limit the opportunity for breweries to act more like a chain bar or restaurant and open numerous breweries with numerous tap rooms. The goal, again, was for that one brewery location owned by the brewer for the retail premise, which the proposed amendment does bring in line with state law.
Are there any questions for Jim? Seeing none, thank you very much, as always, for being here today and helping us wade through this to make it easier for the industry. We appreciate your commitment.
Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Reich.
Madam Chair, I move approval of the item before us.
Item number 8 is in front of us for approval. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. The last portion of our meeting is the quasi-judicial public hearing agenda. I turn the chair over to Councilmember Frye.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have 2 items on the agenda for today, 9 and 10. The first is regarding 42nd Avenue Ballroom, which is 705 42nd Avenue North. And I will turn it over, I believe. Michelle, you taking on this one?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Councilmember Frye, Linda Roberts. I'll take this aspect. That's fine. We do have a very brief presentation. This denial of the renewal of the rental hall license for AFSTEC Consulting Group LLC, located at 705 42nd Avenue North, is for the non-payment of fees and fines. The applicant had been notified. It's been per our standard operating procedure, more than one notification. At this time, the fees and fines have not been paid. We are making recommendation to deny the renewal of this license.
Thank you, Ms. Robertson. I apologize. I hadn't Michelle written down on the sheet here. So this is a quasi-judicial hearing. Before we hear from the owner and or representative of the owner, this committee is limited by law to hearing argument from the property owner or the owner's representative, but is prohibited from considering any further evidence or taking any further testimony. This means that you are required to limit your comments to arguments specifically addressing the evidence or testimony introduced before the hearing officer, which is part of the record that is already before us. You may not offer, and we may not consider any new or additional evidence. Based solely on this existing record and the arguments that the parties make today, the City Council may affirm, modify, or reverse the recommendation that is before us. Before I ask for a representative, do we have any questions for Ms. Roberts? Seeing none, is the owner or representative here today? Is the owner or representative here today to testify? Owner or representative? Seeing they are not, I will, and given that we really can't do a whole lot here, I will move the staff recommendation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Moving on to number 10, which is a rental dwelling license at 1626 DuPont Avenue North. The recommendation is to revoke. Ms. Roberts.
Actually,
This is
Council.
Christina. Okay. Ms. Dowling.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, committee members. Thank you so much. The property involved in this action is 1626 DuPont Avenue North. This is a residential 2-unit dwelling. The respondent, Agbona EU, is the owner of record and obtained a license to operate this property as a rental business in 2008. On July 6, 2012, an inspection was conducted which revealed several housing inspections, giving the owner until August 5, 2012 to comply. From December 2012 to February 2014, numerous re-inspections occurred, resulting in written warning letters being issued, which extended the due date for the work to be complied with, as well as 5 administrative citations totaling $5,750. These citations were not paid or appealed and remain outstanding. The unpaid administrative citations are in violation of Licensing Standard 11 of Minneapolis Code 244.1910 11A. On February 7, 2014, a notice of director's determination was sent to the owner. The owner was given 10 days to come into compliance by paying the pending assessments for the year, 2014, totaling $4,400. On March 31st, 2014, a notice of revocation was sent to the owner via certified and U.S. mail. The notice was returned to the city as unclaimed and unable to forward. The notice was also posted on the rental dwelling, giving the owner 15 days to file an appeal in this matter. No appeal was received. The city is requesting revocation of this license, and I will be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Ms. Dowling. Any questions for Ms. Dowling? Seeing none, is the owner or representative of the owner here today to testify? Seeing they are not and no appeal was filed, I move to adopt the staff recommendation, which is to revoke. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Councilmember Goodman.
Seeing no further business before the committee, we stand adjourned.